Hi there and welcome to this Insomnia Insight episode, which is especially for you if you have felt and said that you're scared, that you're frightened, that you're anxious. We're gonna see in this episode that you are actually very courageous. You're very courageous if you said this, and we're gonna see how that is actually gonna help you a lot. Like so many other things in the sleep world seem paradoxical. How can it be an act of courage to say that I'm scared? But it truly, truly is. I've been thinking about this episode for a long time. I hope I'll be able to deliver my thoughts in a meaningful way. By the way, if you're new to the channel, welcome. I've seen there's been quite a lot of growth lately. I'm very pleased for everybody spreading the word, and I'm so grateful for everyone that's here, whether you're new to the channel or you've been a member of the community for a long time. Super, super happy to have this chance to share my thoughts with you. So I want to start here. I want to start in the realm of social media, if you will. So let's look at this question. Why is it that we all like to share something like a family ski trip? Everybody's happy, looking nice, we're having a good time. But, I wouldn't post videotape me having like a fight with my kid or like my kids fighting or something like that and share that on social media. Nobody really does that. And why is that? Well, I think it is for the following reason, that we humans, and by the way, no criticism or judgment there. It's just, I think it's just a description of how things are. And why are they like that? We humans, I believe, are a social animal. There's safety numbers. We we feel safer when we're part of a community, a group, a tribe, a flock. And basically, if you imagine ourselves, a couple of hundreds or thousands of years ago, when there was like enemy tribes, maybe there were predators looking out for us, we could defend ourselves better if we were part of a group, right? And if you think about like animals that kind of live like that now, like zebras, right? It's that zebra who has a limp or who's very old, or the baby zebra like that. Those are the ones who are at disadvantage. Those are the ones who are at risk of being eaten by a lion, right? So I think we still maintain some of that sense of like, I want to be part of a group. And not only that, I want to be kind of an important, a part of this group that is looked upon as like, I want to be looked upon as sound and healthy and a kind of an important member of the group, because then we feel safe. We feel like we're a valuable member and the group will kind of defend us or something like that. That's why I think we like to share the happy memory, because that makes people think, okay, this person is so healthy, so sound, everything's so great. We feel like we're good members of this group then, and we don't want to share like the kind of like the dirty laundry, because then we feel like we may be ostracized, something like that. Okay, that's kind of the premise of this teaching here. So when we have trouble sleeping, what often feels like the safest and easiest thing to do is to attribute it to something that is sort of like quote unquote normal, right? Not necessarily seeing that, okay, this is actually has to do with how I think and how I feel. That's a little scary and can seem like we're like a little odd, right? So it feels often safer, it seems safer to attribute it to something that's, as normal as possible, kind of like something that's, not your thoughts and emotions. So what could that be? Well, it could be internal. It could be something like, oh, it's just my hormones. My hormones are clearly out of whack and they just have to be adjusted, and then, the insomnia will be gone. Or, oh, I just have a neurotransmitter imbalance. If I take these supplements, it will be adjusted. Everything will be good. I have a broken sleep system, or I have some underlying condition. I just haven't figured out which one it is, but there's nothing wrong with my thoughts and emotions. It's not there. It's just a little error here that needs to be kind of fixed. Or external ones, like we can attribute it. It feels safe to attribute it, like, oh, it's just, I don't have insomnia. It's just like very noisy where I live, or I just have some pain and there's stress. And by the way, like these things, noise, pain, stress, of course, can cause a lot of sleep disruption. It can be, nobody sleeps well if they're in a lot of stress or pain, right? But they don't cause insomnia. Insomnia is caused by fear. It is the fear of being awake, the fear of there's something different, the fear of being, left outside the group. That is what drives insomnia. But again, like my point here was that it can feel like easier and safer to kind of just attribute insomnia to some clearly defined or like clearly defined thing that's like, oh, it's just my hormones, or kind of like it's not clearly defined yet. It's an underlying condition, but it's nothing wrong kind of like with my kind of what's going on within my mind, if you will. That can often feel safer. So that's where we often hear something like, there's nothing wrong with me. It's just my hormones. There's nothing wrong with me. I'm still part of the flock, the community. Like there's nothing, I'm not damaged, anything like that, right? Now the thing is, though, it seems safe. For the reasons we discussed here, it can seem safe to say something like that, but it actually doesn't help, because looking for the underlying cause doesn't reveal anything, because it's not the hormones that cause insomnia, although it can cause sleep disruption. They're not what cause insomnia. So you can try to rebalance them. You change your diet, you take some supplement, you do this, you exercise more. But no matter how you work on balancing those hormones, you still sleep no better. So you still kind of you still may feel like you're keeping this this image of you as like, there's nothing wrong with me, just a little hormone thing. It can feel safe, but in reality, you're getting deeper into like more trouble, more conflict within, et cetera, et cetera. And often you may have a sense that maybe it's not just the hormones, maybe there is something else going on. You may have a sense inside, and maybe you'll see it. Maybe you see that you are scared, and this scares you too. When we start seeing a glimpse of this, that, oh my gosh, all the struggle I had comes from kind of my thoughts, my emotions, how I think, I feel. And when you haven't really reflected upon this, and you don't know much about thoughts, you don't know much about emotions, this can be scary. Like fear can be frightening, and then you're even more scared, and you're even more scared, et cetera, et cetera. This can be very scary, and which is why it can feel safer to not even look there. Let's say this happened, and finally you write a comment right here on the channel and say, I haven't slept in 5 days and I'm scared. Guess what? This is big. This is really big. You know why? Because this was an act of great courage. It was an act of great courage to say, I'm scared, for the reasons we talked about. Because when you say, like, I'm scared, you have taken that risk. You have taken that risk of, like, other people, the community, people around you, etc. The flock, if you will, the pack, if you will. You've taken the risk of potentially becoming like ostracized, looked weirdly upon, like, what's wrong with you? You've taken the risk of people saying, like, why can't you've taken the risk of feeling outside of the pack, etc., feeling vulnerable. You've taken that risk, and that, again, is an act of great courage. Saying I'm scared takes a lot of courage. And not only is that nice, this will lead you where you want to be, because leaving the struggle is a path of facing fear. No question about it in my mind whatsoever. Insomnia is driven by fear. And when we just try to escape that fear, we don't want to see that it is fear that is driving it. Then that fear is actually amplified. It's kind of like you're trying to escape something that you don't even know what it is. The act of trying to escape it makes it seem like it's an even bigger thing. And then, you're stuck in the struggle. The struggle is a struggle of fear, and facing the fear, seeing that, it is fear. It is fear that's causing it, and not, trying to look for any other reason. Looking within it, say, is what's going to take you where you want to be. And when you say, I'm scared, you've already started this. You have done this already. You have been willing to look inside. And here's the thing: when feelings and thoughts no longer want to make you hide, when you're willing to see that, yes, I'm anxious, you're willing to sit with it, you're willing to observe it, you're willing to experience it, then you're no longer trying to hide from it. And you see that I'm actually still safe. I'm not harmed in any way, even this is very uncomfortable. And guess what? When your brain, when you realize that thoughts and feelings cannot harm me, they're completely harmless, then that's when magic happens. That's when you start seeing things getting easier, and you sleep easier, you sleep better, there's less struggle, etc., etc. And if finally you see that, it was just a little confusion, that little normal confusion in the safety center. The safety center has started to think that being awake is dangerous, and everything else comes from that. And we see that that's the little confusion that started all this. Then you see that that's all. There was nothing else to it. And the struggle often ends with a whimper, not a bang. It ends with, that was it, not anything else. It ends with a whimper, not a bang. But that whimper often really truly comes from that moment when you say, I'm scared. And that, again, was an act of great courage. Hope this makes sense to you. Let me know in the comment section what you thought. Let me know if you felt scared, and if being scared you, which is so common. But yeah, let me know what your thoughts, and I hope this was helpful to you. Look forward to having you back real soon. Until then,